What if you could walk through life completely unaffected by the opinions and chaos swirling around you? Every remark, every tiny setback, if it worms its way under your skin, you are surrendering your power. Here's a reality most people miss. The truly formidable aren't those with fewer problems. They are the ones who have mastered their response to them. Visualize moving through your days like that, unmoved by gossip, undisturbed by judgment, unshaken by turmoil. No more spiraling into obsessive thought. No more being tossed in emotional gales. Just profound, steady composure, no matter what life hurls at you. And here's the beautiful paradox. The instant you cease letting everything disturb you, you don't become heartless. You become liberated. You unlock a strength that earns respect without a single raised voice. A presence that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. If this calls to you, then consider subscribing as an active choice for your own evolution. Think of it as planting a seed of disciplined wisdom, a deliberate step on your personal path toward self-command. Because the journey to becoming unshakable starts right here with the decision to grow. Think about it for a moment. Most individuals allow external noise to dictate their inner state. A harsh comment ruins their entire week, and a minor inconvenience sparks a wave of aggravation that lingers long after the moment has faded. We are perpetually handing over our inner peace to people and circumstances that, in truth, do not deserve that kind of authority over our lives. But what if you stopped letting the world pull your strings? What if nothing outside of you could even graze your inner stillness, no matter how loud or distracting it became? This is where authentic power is born, not in controlling others, not in forcing the world to conform to your will, but in mastering your own inner realm. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you truly grasp that your reaction is always your sovereign choice, you reclaim the authority that most people forfeit every single day. The truth is, life will always present challenges. People will misunderstand you, critique you, insult you, and sometimes betray you. Circumstances will shift without warning, but your response, that is yours alone. And when you stop reacting impulsively to every inconvenience, when you learn to pause and remain anchored, you step into a state of command that most will never experience. This isn't about pretending you don't feel. It's about becoming the person who doesn't let feelings dictate their life. Instead of being thrown about by every squall, you become the immovable anchor within it. The deepest impression is left by those who remain unshaken. Isn't it true that the people who impact us most are those who never seem rattled? They don't need to shout to be heard. They don't need to defend themselves at every turn. Their serenity alone commands respect. Carl Jung once noted, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." This kind of inner clarity, the kind that frees you from reacting to every minor disturbance, creates a presence so potent it cannot be ignored. Picture being publicly insulted. Most would snap back, grow defensive, perhaps even lash out. But what if instead you offered a slight smile and simply walked away? You would not only preserve your own peace, but you would strip the other person of the power they sought to wield over you. They anticipated controlling you with their words. By refusing to play the game, you've already won. This is why detachment holds such power. It leaves the other person confused, unsettled, and powerless. Meanwhile, you depart untouched, undefeated, stronger than before. This manner of living changes everything. It doesn't mean you become cold or uncaring. It means you refuse to expend precious energy on things that hold no significance in the grand view. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How many times have you replayed an insult in your mind long after it was spoken? How many nights have you lost to overthinking something trivial that in the broader picture carries no weight at all? When you learn to act as though nothing bothers you, you stop gifting away days, weeks, even years of your life to things utterly undeserving of them. Consider failure, for instance. For some, failure crushes their spirit. It makes them question their worth, and many never truly recover. But for those who master detachment, failure is not a personal indictment. It's data, it's feedback. It's a lesson disguised as a setback. They don't permit failure to define them. They use it to refine themselves. And because of that, they rise quicker and more resilient than those who remain stuck lamenting what went wrong. This is what separates the resilient from the broken, the capacity to see failure as part of the process, not the conclusion of the story. Pressure operates similarly. Life will place you under strain again and again. Some people fracture, others wilt, but those who flourish are the ones who prepare their minds in advance. They don't expect smooth sailing, they expect resistance. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And he was correct. Pressure reveals character. It shows who has trained their mind and who has not. If you can remain composed amidst chaos, you gain an advantage most will never know. But composure doesn't spring from wishing for an easy life. It comes from training. Just as muscles develop by facing resistance, your mind becomes unshakable by facing difficulty without capitulating to it. Every time you choose silence over argument, patience over frustration, clarity over confusion, you are fortifying yourself. These small moments, repeated daily, build the armor that shields you from being torn apart by the world's noise. There's something almost magnetic about people who wear this kind of armor. Others are drawn to them without fully understanding why. It's because they embody a quiet mystery. They're not easily deciphered, not easily shaken, not easily provoked. In a world where everyone is desperate to be heard and validated, someone who moves with calm, silence, and without the craving for approval is captivating. People look up to them because they cannot quite figure them out. They wonder, how does nothing seem to rattle them? How do they stay so composed while everyone else falls apart? Silence is one of the most potent tools in this way of being. Most people can't handle silence. They rush to fill it with words, explanations, justifications. But when you remain silent, you hold the power. You observe, you listen, you watch people reveal themselves without surrendering anything of your own. Silence unsettles people because it leaves them alone with their own thoughts. It forces them to confront themselves while you remain steadfast. Aristotle once observed, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." And silence is one of the swiftest paths to approach that knowledge. The more you learn to stay silent when provoked, the more you disarm others. Insults lose their sting. Criticism loses its grip. Even praise doesn't sway you excessively because you've learned your worth isn't constructed on the words of others. And when you are no longer controlled by words, you liberate yourself from one of the most common chains in human existence, the need for approval. Approval is one of the greatest traps. We are conditioned to chase it, to live for it, to measure our value by it. But the moment you stop needing everyone's applause, you become free. Plato once said, "The man who has a good character does not need the approval of others." That is the truth. The craving for constant validation makes you fragile. It makes you contort to fit other people's molds. But when you detach from that need, you walk your own path unapologetically. You stop seeking permission to live your life. Of course, none of this means ignoring all criticism. There is wisdom in listening, but the key is filtering it through logic, not emotion. Some criticism helps you evolve. Some is mere noise. The strong person knows the difference. They accept what is useful, discard what is not, and advance without overthinking. The weak person reacts to all criticism as if it were a personal assault, wasting energy defending themselves from words that don't merit it. By filtering criticism with calm discernment, you remain untouchable. When you look closely, you see this same principle at work in every great historical mind. Socrates endured accusations and mockery with a composure that baffled his adversaries. Seneca remained poised while living under the shadow of emperors who could end his life at any moment. Jung delved into the psyche's depths, reminding us that the unconscious only controls us if we refuse to face it. These thinkers knew that power lies not in altering the external world, but in mastering the internal one. This is why releasing what you cannot control is the ultimate liberation. So much of our suffering stems not from events themselves, but from the narratives we weave about them. We cling to expectations, demand that life unfold precisely as we planned, and suffer when it doesn't. But life was never meant to be fully under our command. Like a river, it flows with its own current. Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." The instant you stop battling what is beyond your control, you cease creating unnecessary agony for yourself. And what about those daily irritations that constantly test you? Traffic, delays, unexpected changes. These small things are opportunities in disguise. If you can practice letting go in these moments, you'll build the fortitude to handle larger storms when they arrive. The discipline to stay calm when it matters most originates in the discipline to stay calm when it seems to matter least. Over time, something remarkable occurs. You realize emotional command isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about directing them. You still feel joy, sadness, even anger, but they no longer control you. They serve you, not the reverse. And that is the chasm between someone who is easily shaken and someone who is unshakable. So hold this close. The world will never cease testing you. There will always be insults, setbacks, disappointments, and pressures, but you do not have to crumble beneath them. You can choose poise, you can choose calm, you can choose strength. Master yourself, and nothing outside of you will ever hold the power to master you again. Do you understand why it hurts so profoundly when someone disrespects you? It's because often without realizing it, you've handed them the authority to define your worth. Their words or actions cut deep because you've allowed them to touch something sacred, your own self-perception. The moment you react in anger, defensiveness, or despair, you've granted them ownership of your emotions. And in that instant, you've surrendered control. But what occurs when you refuse to react? What happens when you let their words pass through you like wind through an open window? Something extraordinary takes place. You reclaim your power. You stand firm within yourself, unshaken by their attempts to provoke. And in doing so, you not only rise above them, but you quietly unsettle them because their anticipated outcome, your reaction, never materializes. This is why the strongest individuals often appear untouchable. It's not that they never feel insulted, it's that they have chosen not to let insults define them. Epictetus once remarked, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not make excuses, but say, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, or he would not have mentioned these alone.'" His point was not arrogance, it was freedom. When you no longer cling to the opinions of others, their criticism loses its venom. What would it look like for you to live this way? To hear someone's disrespect and smile quietly, knowing your worth has never resided in their hands. That is strength in its purest form. When you live like this, you stop being reactive and start being intentional. You no longer move because someone pushed a button. You move because you chose to. That distinction is everything. Carl Jung once observed, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The moment you catch yourself burning with anger at someone's words, it becomes an opportunity to look inward rather than lash outward. What part of you granted them that access? What wound did they touch? And do you wish to keep letting that wound be exposed to every careless passerby? Or will you choose to heal it by no longer giving them that kind of power? Consider the mechanics of an insult. An insult is not an objective truth. It's a projection, a string of words aimed at you in hopes of eliciting a reaction. If you accept it, if you let it pierce you, it becomes real. If you reject it, not with anger but with calm indifference, it dissolves into nothing. It only possessed life if you gave it life. This is why remaining composed is so unsettling to aggressors. They expected to feed on your energy. Without your response, they are left empty-handed, frustrated, and weakened. You, however, walk away with your dignity wholly intact. Seneca taught that a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Most of the pain from disrespect does not originate in the moment itself. It comes from the endless mental replay afterward. You think about what you should have said, how you should have responded, why it stung so badly. Hours pass, sometimes days, and in doing so, you grant that person free rent in your mind. But when you choose not to react, when you refuse to dwell on their words, you sever their power, not only in the moment but in the days that follow. You free yourself from the invisible shackles of overthinking. But let's be honest, remaining calm when insulted is not effortless. It contradicts instinct. Our pride wants to defend itself. Our ego demands recognition, yet strength is not found in satisfying the ego. Strength is found in choosing silence over impulse, clarity over noise, restraint over retaliation. The irony is that by not defending yourself, you actually defend yourself better than any words ever could. Your stillness declares, "I am beyond this," and that message resonates louder than any shout. Reflect on the most formidable figures in history. Those who left enduring legacies were not the ones who barked back at every critic, but those who maintained composure amidst chaos. They were unbothered not because they faced no attacks, but because they grasped the futility of reacting to them. Aristotle once said, "The more you know, the more you realize you don't know." Wisdom cultivates humility, and humility allows you to step back and recognize most criticisms reveal more about the speaker than about you. There's a peculiar dominance in not responding. When someone hurls words at you anticipating a fight, and you offer nothing, you create an imbalance. They falter, uncertain how to handle your silence. In their eyes, you become untouchable. You claim the higher ground not by conquering them with force, but by refusing to even enter the battlefield. This is the quiet power that draws respect even from those attempting to provoke you. Of course, none of this implies you don't care about anything. Detachment is not synonymous with indifference. It doesn't mean nothing matters to you. It means you consciously choose what does. Socrates was once asked how to maintain peace of mind. His answer was simple: stop caring about things that don't matter. When you understand most disrespectful remarks belong in that category, you stop gifting them your energy, and in doing so, you conserve your strength for what genuinely warrants your attention. But what about when criticism does contain truth? This is where discernment enters. Not every harsh word is worth ignoring. Some hold valuable insight if you are willing to hear it without emotional interference. The key is to listen with logic, not with pride. Take what serves you, discard the remainder, and keep advancing. This way, you transform even disrespect into an opportunity for growth. You demonstrate you are not only unshaken, but also wise enough to use every experience as a stepping stone. This is where the practice becomes transformative. Each time you resist the urge to react, You reinforce the truth that your emotions are yours alone to command. Each time you let an insult pass without response, you forge a stronger shield around your inner world. Each time you choose calm, you make calm more natural. Over time, it ceases to be an effort and becomes your essence. You become the person who cannot be easily rattled, the one others look toward when storms arrive, the one who radiates quiet confidence without ever needing to prove it. Marcus Aurelius lived encircled by critics, enemies, and pressures unimaginable to most. Yet in his writings, he constantly reminded himself their words held no power unless he chose to grant it. He trained his mind daily to perceive insults as the buzzing of flies. Annoying, perhaps, but not worth sacrificing his peace over. This is the same training you can apply. It doesn't happen overnight. It is built in moments, in choices, in the discipline of holding back when you yearn to lash out. The next time someone disrespects you, pause. Let the moment pass without surrendering your composure. Notice how the power shifts instantly. Notice how liberated you feel walking away with your dignity intact. Notice how potent it feels not to be controlled by another's words. That strength, that freedom is what it means to live unbothered. Because in the end, disrespect only possesses the power you bestow upon it. And when you stop bestowing power, you cease being its victim. You become the one who chooses, the one who decides, the one who remains anchored no matter what storms surge against you. This is the quiet strength of the unshakable mind, and it belongs to anyone bold enough to claim it. Envision someone insulting you publicly. The natural impulse is to fire back, to defend yourself, perhaps even to raise your voice so everyone witnessing knows you will not be humiliated. That instinct springs from pride, from the need to prove yourself in the eyes of others. But what transpires if you don't? What happens if you simply offer a slight smile and walk away? The person who tried to sting you suddenly finds themselves powerless. They anticipated a reaction. They wanted to witness you lose control. And when it fails to come, they are left unsettled, confused, wondering why their words couldn't penetrate. What they fail to realize is that in that moment, the true balance of power has shifted. They revealed their weakness by needing a reaction, while you revealed your strength by refusing to supply one. This kind of restraint isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's the distinction between someone who is easily manipulated and someone who commands themselves so completely that no one else can. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. By delaying your reaction, even for a moment, you change everything." Anger thrives on immediacy. It flourishes when fed instantly. But when you pause, when you let the moment pass without acting, anger starves and dissipates. That is why walking away from an insult is not retreat. It is choosing not to waste energy on something unworthy of it. It is a declaration, "I am not owned by your words." And consider what that kind of presence communicates to everyone observing. People watching might expect a fight, a sharp retort, maybe a heated exchange. But when you remain calm, when you walk away with quiet dignity, you craft a lasting impression. You become someone different in their eyes, someone who carries authority without needing to prove it. The loudest person in the room rarely commands genuine respect. Respect is earned by the one who doesn't need to shout, because their composure itself speaks louder than words. This is the power of detachment. It doesn't mean you no longer feel emotions. It doesn't mean you become numb or cold. It means you are no longer ruled by emotions when they arise. You feel them, but you do not bow to them. You see the insult. You feel the initial sting, and then you choose not to let it swell into something larger. You choose peace over conflict, command over chaos. In that choice resides freedom. But freedom is rare, isn't it? Most spend their lives chained to the opinions of others. A stranger's insult, a colleague's criticism, a friend's careless remark. It all becomes heavy baggage they carry long after the words are spoken. They replay it mentally, letting it erode their confidence, letting it disturb their sleep. And yet, if you step back, you see how peculiar it is to grant so much authority to someone who likely doesn't even think twice about what they said. The moment you walk away without taking their insult with you, you drop that weight. You remain light, untethered, unbothered. This doesn't only shield you in the moment, it builds a reputation over time. When people realize you cannot be easily provoked, they begin to treat you differently. They might test you once, maybe twice, but eventually they learn their words cannot control you. And because of that, they respect you more. Not in the shallow sense of admiration, but in the deeper sense that comes from knowing they are engaging with someone who stands firm within themselves. Aristotle once stated, "The self-controlled person is free." This freedom isn't about escaping challenges. It's about escaping the prison of constant reaction. Of course, there will always be those who misinterpret calmness as weakness. They may think that because you don't fight back, you lack strength. But this is where wisdom distinguishes you from the crowd. Realize that authentic strength is not measured by how loudly you respond, but by how little you need to. A fire that burns quietly endures longer than one that flares up and dies swiftly. In your silence, in your calmness, there is a depth of power that cannot be fabricated. Those who mock composure often do so because they lack it themselves. Reflect also on the gift this grants you in daily life. How many conflicts, arguments, and regrets are born from words spoken too quickly, from reactions that only escalate the problem? How many relationships are damaged because pride demanded a response? By choosing to walk away, by smiling and letting silence speak, you protect not only your own peace, but the peace of the moment. You create space for clarity, for perspective, for wisdom to guide you instead of impulse. This practice, repeated, builds resilience. Each time you resist the urge to react, you strengthen your capacity to stay calm under greater pressure. What begins with walking away from an insult evolves into the ability to remain steady during serious conflicts, setbacks, and crises. The small moments train you for the larger ones. Just as a warrior sharpens their blade on small stones before battle, you sharpen your mind in everyday encounters so that when life truly tests you, you are prepared. And here's the deeper truth. Walking away is not merely about denying someone else power. It's about affirming your own. When you refuse to give your energy to petty attacks, you demonstrate that your focus is reserved for higher pursuits. Plato once remarked, "Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something." The same holds for actions. When you walk away, it is because you know your actions are better invested elsewhere. You are not controlled by the pettiness of another's attempt to provoke. You are moved only by what aligns with your values and vision. Over time, this way of living transforms you. You become known as someone who cannot be easily rattled, someone whose presence is steady even when the atmosphere is tense. And this reputation, though subtle, is potent. People begin to trust you more. They seek you out in difficult moments, knowing you won't panic or lose control. You become a source of calm in a world addicted to noise. And that is one of the rarest, most valuable qualities a person can possess. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When insulted, the easiest path is to mirror the behavior, anger for anger, insult for insult. But by doing that, you become what you disdain. Walking away, conversely, keeps you free from that trap. It keeps you aligned with your higher self, the self that does not stoop to pettiness. That is why walking away is not surrender. It is victory. It is proof that you belong to yourself and no one else. So visualize it again. Someone insults you publicly. They await the rise, the explosion, the chaos. but instead you smile gently and walk away. They are left with their own words echoing in the silence, unsettled by your composure. And you depart with your dignity, your peace, and your power intact. That is the art of living unbothered. That is what it means to carry strength quietly, to choose freedom over reaction, to act as if nothing bothers you, and in doing so, to make it your truth. Isn't that the secret? True dominance isn't about shouting louder, about being the most dramatic or explosive voice in the room. It's about not needing to react at all. The strongest presence isn't the one who tries to fill every silence with noise, but the one who can sit in silence without flinching. Consider the times you've entered a space and noticed someone who hardly spoke, yet everyone was aware of them. They didn't raise their voice. They didn't force their opinions, and yet their composure alone commanded attention. That is real strength. It is found not in volume, but in restraint. When you no longer feel the urge to prove yourself with words, when you no longer let every challenge drag you into conflict, you start to embody a power that doesn't require announcement. It simply exists. Most people confuse reaction with strength. They believe that to prove themselves, they must respond to every insult, defend every opinion, or compel others to recognize their value. But this constant need for reaction exposes fragility rather than power. If someone can pull you into a fight with a few words, then they control you. If you need to shout to be heard, then you haven't yet cultivated the kind of presence that speaks for itself. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "The best answer to anger is silence." He understood that silence often carries more weight than any speech because it demonstrates self-mastery. In silence, there is no loss of energy, no wasted words, no exposure of weakness. It's a shield that safeguards your dignity and reflects your strength. When you stay calm, people notice. They may not vocalize it, but they feel it. In fact, it unsettles them. We inhabit a world where outrage and loudness are the norm. When someone refuses to play that game, it creates a shift. Imagine someone insulting you, expecting a reaction, and instead you remain still, even composed. They will often double down, pushing harder, attempting to find a crack in your calm. But as each attempt fails, it is not you who is weakened, it is them. They become desperate for a reaction, and the more desperate they grow, the clearer it becomes that you hold the power. This is the paradox of dominance. The one who cares less about appearing dominant often ends up with the most control. This is not about passivity, it's about command. To need no reaction does not mean you never act. It means you choose when and how to act with precision. A person who reacts to everything is predictable, easily manipulated. A person who acts sparingly and deliberately, however, is formidable in the best sense. People cannot anticipate them. They do not reveal their hand, and that unpredictability itself becomes power. Socrates, facing trial and eventual death, did not lash out against those who condemned him. He remained calm, thoughtful, steady. Even in defeat, his composure became his legacy. His silence in the face of injustice spoke louder than any argument could have. The strongest presence in the room, therefore, is not the one scrambling for attention. It is the one who can afford to wait, to sit with silence, to appear unbothered while others unravel themselves with noise. And here lies another truth. When you need nothing from others, they start to give you everything. They lean in when you finally do speak. They attend to the few words you choose precisely because you do not squander them. This is why restraint is not emptiness, it is value. Just as gold is rare and precious, words and actions that are measured carefully carry far more weight than endless chatter. Reflect on how many arguments in your own life would have dissolved if you had simply chosen not to react. How many battles have you fought that left you exhausted but changed nothing? How many times have you been pulled into someone else's chaos, only to realize later it wasn't worth a single moment of your energy? Now, imagine the freedom of walking away from all of that, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to choose peace over chaos. Epictetus taught, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him." Every reaction relinquishes power, every silence reclaims it. When you build this habit, something profound begins to shift within you. At first, it feels uncomfortable not to respond. Your ego resists. It wants to defend itself, to fight back, to prove something. But with practice, that discomfort fades. And in its place arises confidence, a quiet, unshakable confidence. You no longer need to be understood by everyone. You no longer need to explain yourself at every turn. You realize your worth is not fragile. It does not shatter when someone questions it. And the more you live this way, the more natural it becomes. What once demanded effort becomes second nature. You embody calmness as a way of being. And here is where the world begins to treat you differently. People cannot provoke what does not react. They cannot control what does not bend to them. They may try, they may push, but eventually they learn you are a wall, steady and unshaken. And because of that, they begin to respect you more. Even those who dislike you cannot help but recognize you are not swayed by their efforts. In a strange way, your refusal to react forces them to see you as someone above the noise, someone whose center lies deeper than surface-level conflict. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Adversity often arrives as words, insults, criticism, disrespect. These are the daily tests life administers. Each one is an opportunity to prove yourself, not by retaliating, but by mastering yourself. When you endure these moments without flinching, you demonstrate a strength that cannot be stripped away. You do not depend on victory in argument or approval from the crowd. Your victory is already secured because you remained in command of yourself. And isn't that what true dominance really is? Not control over others, but control over yourself. Anyone can shout, anyone can argue, anyone can explode with anger. But it takes a different caliber of discipline to smile, to remain calm, to act only when it genuinely matters. That is the kind of presence people remember. That is the kind of strength that endures long after the noise has faded. So the next time you find yourself in a room thick with tension, when pressure mounts and voices amplify, remind yourself of this. The strongest person is not the one who demands to be heard. It is the one who can remain silent and still be felt. True dominance needs no reaction. It reveals itself quietly, steadily, unmistakably. And when you live from that place, you stop being controlled by the surrounding chaos. You become the calm in the storm, the anchor others cannot move. That is what it means to not flinch, to stand unbothered, to carry a strength no clamor can ever match. But let's delve deeper. Why is this so rare? Why do so few navigate life untouchable, calm amid provocation, steady in storms? It's because from youth we are conditioned to react, conditioned to defend ourselves at the slightest hint of disrespect, conditioned to prove our worth whenever it's questioned, conditioned to fight back so no one perceives us as weak. This training is omnipresent in school, at work, in families, in surrounding culture. The message is constant. If you don't react, you lose. Yet the truth is the inverse. The more you react, the more predictable you become. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. The moment someone knows precisely how to pull your strings, they own you. So the real question is this: do you wish to live as someone predictable, or do you wish to rise as someone untouchable? Consider how people are tested in everyday life. Someone tosses an insult and they respond with anger. Someone disagrees and they argue endlessly. Someone criticizes and they rush to defend. These reactions are automatic, rehearsed, mechanical. They occur because people haven't yet learned to pause, to observe, to choose a response instead of being owned by an impulse. When you begin to dismantle this conditioning, something potent happens. You start to see you don't have to prove yourself in every conversation. You don't have to defend yourself every time someone misunderstands you. You don't have to fight battles that add nothing to your life. Instead, you step into a new way of being, one where your silence carries more authority than your words, one where your calmness unsettles those who expected to shake you. This is why so few achieve it. It demands the discipline to break habits that feel natural but are actually chains. Seneca once noted, "He who is brave is free." Bravery here doesn't mean shouting loudest. It doesn't mean winning every argument. It means having the courage to release the need to prove yourself in others' eyes. It means being free from the compulsion to react in order to feel validated. This is bravery of the highest order because it is directed inward against the ego that constantly craves recognition. And when you win that internal battle, you discover a freedom that cannot be confiscated. Contrast the person who reacts to everything with the person who reacts to almost nothing. The first lives in perpetual turmoil. Their peace fluctuates based on what others say or do. They are exhausted because every day feels like combat. The second, however, resides in stillness. They carefully choose what merits their energy. Most things they simply allow to pass by, and because of this, they conserve their strength for moments that truly count. Which life leads to power? Which life creates the presence people remember? The rarest individuals are those who can sit in the fire of provocation and not stir. They do not let another's words dictate their mental state. They do not need to prove anything to feel secure. They are unpredictable, not in being chaotic, but in being beyond control. People who rely on provoking others to gain power have no strategy for someone who refuses to play the game. When you cannot be predicted, you cannot be controlled. And when you cannot be controlled, you are free. But this freedom requires training. It doesn't arrive overnight. It is constructed in small moments when you choose not to respond, when you notice the urge to defend yourself and instead let silence convey your answer, when you feel anger simmering but allow it to pass without spilling onto anyone else. Over time, these choices rewire how you navigate the world. They transform you from someone reactive into someone steady. And the transformation is visible. People will notice you are different. They will sense your calmness and feel both respect and confusion because you don't follow the expected script. Socrates himself lived this principle. When accused unjustly, mocked, put on trial for his life, he remained composed. He did not beg, rage, or collapse into fear. His composure was his defense, and in the end, though his body was condemned, his spirit was untouchable. His restraint turned potential humiliation into a lesson for all history. This is what happens when you refuse to let others dictate your reactions. You shape not only the moment, but the legacy that follows you. And isn't that the irony? We are trained to believe reacting proves our strength, when in reality, it only exposes our weakness. It reveals exactly where we can be controlled. It tells the world, if you want to move me, here's how. But when you stop reacting, when you cultivate the art of calmness, you close that door. You give no one the manual to your emotions. Instead, you keep your power close within yourself, unshakable and unseen until you choose to reveal it. That is what it means to be untouchable. Not that nothing ever happens to you, but that nothing owns you when it does. Plato once said, "The first and best victory is to conquer self." This victory doesn't come with applause. It arrives quietly in moments no one else notices. It comes when you release the urge to answer back, when you refuse to waste your peace on battles that don't matter. It comes when you realize the greatest strength is found not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. And once you taste that victory, you understand how rare and precious it is. So ask yourself, do you want to live as someone predictable, whose reactions can be extracted with the simplest provocation? Or do you want to rise above, to become the one who remains steady, who cannot be controlled, who carries a presence that speaks louder than any argument? This choice, though demanding, is the secret to becoming untouchable. And though few possess the discipline to live this way, those who do stand apart, they are remembered not for the noise they made, but for the calm they carried. The path isn't glamorous, but it is transformative. Each time you resist the urge to react, you sharpen your inner strength. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you step further from predictability and closer to freedom. And as the habit takes root, you will notice something extraordinary. Life becomes lighter. The world's noise fades. The chaos of others no longer invades your peace. You begin to live untouchable. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And that is the deepest form of power a person can ever know. The truth is, emotions are merely visitors. They arrive uninvited, often when you least expect them. Anger, fear, shame, doubt. They knock loudly on your door, demanding entry, demanding you grant them space at your table. But here's the secret: you don't have to invite them in. You can hear the knock, acknowledge the presence, and still choose not to open the door. That single choice changes everything, because when you pause, even for a second before reacting, you break the chain that controls most lives. Most people don't pause. They let the visitor in. They allow it to take over their home. And before they realize it, their entire state of mind belongs to an emotion that was never meant to stay. Consider how often anger hijacks lives. One sharp word, one careless gesture, and suddenly they're swept away, shouting things they later regret. In that moment, they're no longer in control. Their anger is. Fear operates similarly. It arrives and whispers about everything that could go wrong, and if you let it inside, it paralyzes you before you've even begun. Shame is perhaps the most perilous visitor because it doesn't just want to sit momentarily. It wants to move in permanently. It wants to reside in your mind, whispering reminders of your mistakes, convincing you your worth has diminished. Yet none of these emotions are permanent unless you grant them permission. They are temporary, fleeting guests, and if you learn to keep your doors locked, they eventually move on. Most people mistake a passing feeling for a permanent reality. They let a moment of anger define their entire day. They let a surge of fear dictate their choices for years. But the truth is, emotions don't last. They only seem powerful because we cling to them. We replay them. We give them life long after they should have faded. The discipline of pausing before reacting is the discipline of letting the visitor pass without turning your entire house upside down for their sake. Carl Jung explained that what we resist not only persists, but grows in strength. If you slam the door in denial when anger comes, it will pound harder, demanding to be heard. If you try to bury shame, it finds ways to resurface. The answer isn't to fight the visitor or pretend it doesn't exist, but to acknowledge its presence and still choose not to let it control you. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That's the essence of navigating emotions. You are not anger, though anger may knock. You are not fear, though fear may arrive. You are not shame, though shame may sit outside your door. You are what you choose to embody, and in that choice lies your liberation. This is where pausing becomes a superpower. A single pause creates a space wide enough for you to choose differently. Most exist in reaction, a cycle repeating endlessly, provocation, reaction, regret. They don't even perceive the space between stimulus and response, but it is always there. The Stoics practiced seeing that space and guarding it fiercely. Imagine a heated argument. Words fly, voices rise, your heart races. The natural response is to meet fire with fire, to shout louder, to defend harder. But in that moment, if you pause, just one breath, you reclaim the reins. You see the anger isn't you, it's just a visitor knocking for attention. In that pause, you choose whether to let it rule or to let it pass. Often that 1 second is enough to transform conflict into resolution, chaos into calm. It may feel minor, but it is the seed of profound change. And this doesn't apply solely to anger. Consider fear. How many opportunities have been lost because people let fear walk in and take command? Fear tells you not to speak up, not to take the risk, not to pursue the dream. If you let it stay, you shrink. But if you pause, if you observe fear without immediately yielding to it, you realize it possesses no real power. It's a shadow, not a wall. It vanishes the moment you step toward it. Fear is a visitor that often appears larger from the outside than it does once faced directly. Shame, too, loses its grip when met with awareness. Most crumble under shame, letting it rewrite their identity. They forget shame is a messenger, not a verdict. Its knock signals something inside desires healing, but it doesn't mean you are broken. By pausing before absorbing its voice, you can accept the lesson without letting the weight destroy you. The practice of perceiving emotions this way transforms daily existence. Instead of being carried off by every mood swing, you begin to watch yourself. You notice the rise of irritation in traffic and choose not to let it steal your peace. You feel the sting of rejection but refuse to let it define your value. You recognize the rush of excitement and choose not to make impulsive promises in its grip. Over time, this practice becomes habit, and the habit becomes strength. People around you will notice. They'll wonder how you stay composed in situations that drive others mad. They'll observe you don't flinch, don't crumble. Don't let yourself be owned by emotions. This kind of mastery doesn't mean life stops testing you. If anything, the tests grow sharper. People will try harder to provoke you. Life will hurl greater challenges your way. But the difference is you will no longer be a slave to the knock at the door. You will see the emotion, nod in acknowledgement, and proceed with clarity. You will stop mistaking every knock for a command and start treating it as background noise. This is how the strongest individuals are forged, not by eliminating emotions, but by learning to stand beside them without falling. Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Examining your emotions in this manner is part of living examined. It's noticing when you're reacting on autopilot and asking, is this me or is this just a visitor trying to move in? That question alone is enough to break the spell. You begin to see that what you once called your personality, your temper, your fears, your shame, was often merely a series of unexamined reactions. Once you see that, you are free to shape a different self, one built on choice rather than compulsion. The more you live this way, the more you realize its rarity. Most around you will still slam the door or fling it wide open, ruled by every knock they hear. But you will move differently. You'll carry a calm that unsettles those trying to provoke you because they cannot find the handle to your door. And in that calm lies influence. People will look to you not because you speak loudest, but because you remain unmoved. They'll wonder what makes you different, and the answer will always be simple. You no longer invite every visitor to stay. Freedom is not that emotions never come, but that they no longer dictate your life. And isn't that what freedom truly means? Not that emotions never arrive, but that they no longer dictate your existence. You become the host, not the guest. You choose what enters, what stays, what departs. And in making that choice, you become untouchable, not because the knocks cease, but because you learn that not every knock merits an answer. Have you observed how failure devastates some, while others seem to rise from it with heightened strength? The event itself is rarely the decisive factor. Two people can endure the same setback, losing a job, a business failing, facing rejection, and their paths will diverge entirely. One will collapse under defeat's weight, carrying it like a chain for years. The other will dust themselves off, learn from the experience, and advance with sharper focus. The difference isn't the failure, the difference is attachment. When you treat failure as proof of your inadequacy, it becomes part of your identity. But when you treat it as information, as feedback, it becomes data guiding your growth. One path leads to paralysis, the other to resilience. This shift in perspective is everything. People often forget failure holds no inherent meaning until we assign it one. It's just an event, a moment in time. But we cling to it, replay it, weave it into the narrative we tell ourselves about who we are. And once that happens, it grows heavier than the event itself. Carl Jung understood this profoundly. He wrote that in all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. What feels like destruction often conceals seeds of transformation. But if we cling to our expectation of how life should unfold, we miss it. Attachment to a perfect outcome blinds us to the hidden order within the setback. Failure, when examined closely, is often a redirection, a lesson pointing us toward a path we couldn't previously see. But you can only discover that order if you detach your identity from the failure itself. If you collapse into despair and tell yourself, "I am a failure," you stop searching for meaning, and the hidden order remains buried. This is why some people fall apart. They confuse failing at something with being a failure. Those two are not equivalent. One is an event, the other is a self-image. And when you attach the event to your identity, you trap yourself within it. The stronger the attachment, the tighter the chains. Every time you face something new, the memory of past failures whispers, convincing you not to try. It's not the failure that destroys people, it's the story they construct around it. But what if you stripped failure of that story? What if you saw it solely as information, a test result, a signal reflecting what worked and what didn't? Scientists live this way by nature. Every failed experiment isn't a tragedy, it's data. It narrows the path, points the way forward. Why can't life be approached similarly? Those who use failure as fuel comprehend this. They collect the data, learn, and keep moving. They don't carry shame's weight. They understand failure belongs to the past the moment it occurs. And the only rational choice is to use it as guidance for the future. Consider Thomas Edison's experiments with the light bulb. Thousands of attempts, most unsuccessful. Had he taken failure as identity, the story would have ended long before success. But each failure was seen as discovery, one more method that wouldn't work. Each setback became part of the data that eventually led to breakthrough. While Edison isn't a philosopher we've referenced, his story embodies their wisdom perfectly. Failure doesn't halt progress. Attachment does. The refusal to detach identity from outcome is what terminates most journeys before they truly begin. Epictetus put it simply, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. Failure itself doesn't break you, your judgment of it does. If you tell yourself, this proves I'm incapable, then you will dwell in that shadow. But if you tell yourself, this shows me how to improve, then the identical event becomes fuel. The power of that shift cannot be overstated. One leads to despair, the other to resilience. And resilience is the foundation of all greatness. Examine anyone who has built something meaningful, and you'll see this pattern. They all failed, they all stumbled, they all faced rejection. The distinction is, they didn't attach themselves to those moments. They didn't wear failure as a badge of identity. Instead, they kept advancing, viewing each step as part of the process. What breaks others becomes their training ground. And because of this, they grow stronger than those who never dared risk failing at all. Beginnings are fragile. They are often filled with mistakes, missteps, shortcomings. Those who cannot detach from failure never progress past the beginning. They quit too soon. They let early stumbles convince them the journey isn't worthwhile. But those who view failure as data understand beginnings are supposed to be rough. They expect mistakes and thus are not crushed by them. By detaching from the fantasy of a perfect start, they allow themselves the freedom to learn, adapt, continue. And isn't this the essence of growth itself? To see each step not as proof of who you are, but as an opportunity to become more than you were yesterday. Failure, stripped of attachment, becomes the most honest teacher. It shows you exactly where you stand without exaggeration or disguise. It is feedback in its rawest form. To ignore it is foolish. To attach yourself to it is destructive. But to use it, that is wisdom. The reason many never recover from failure is they resist it. They fight against what has already transpired. But resistance only deepens the wound. Acceptance is the path forward. Accept the failure. Accept the sting, accept the lesson, and then move on. When you begin to live this way, something profound shifts. Setbacks no longer derail you, rejections no longer crush you. Instead, they become part of your fuel. Each one strengthens your resolve, each one sharpens your strategy, each one prepares you for the next step. Over time, you build resilience so deep that failure ceases to frighten you. It becomes part of life's rhythm, as natural as breathing. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I learn when I do?" That simple reframing is enough to keep you advancing when others halt. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacle is not separate from the path. It is the path. Failure is not a detour. It is part of the road itself. Those who resist it remain stuck. Those who embrace it keep walking. And by walking, they discover every apparent dead end hides a new direction. What others call defeat, they call instruction. What others call the end, they call a beginning. So the next time you fail, pause before attaching yourself to the narrative of defeat. See the event for what it is, information, not a reflection of your worth, not a verdict on your future, but data for your next move. Let the sting pass, then seek the lesson. Train yourself to detach from the outcome and focus instead on the process. This doesn't merely change how you face failure, it changes how you face life. Because life, at its core, is a series of experiments. And those who learn the most from failed experiments are the ones who eventually master the craft of living. This applies to pressure as well. Some crumble the moment expectations' weight presses down, while others seem to grow sharper, clearer, almost stronger under identical conditions. What separates them is never luck, it's preparation. Life isn't a question of whether storms will arrive. It's only a question of when. Those who expect calm seas are always caught off guard when winds rise, but those who prepare for inevitable turbulence are never truly surprised. Pressure doesn't create weakness or strength. It only reveals what already exists within. It exposes the training you've undertaken or the lack thereof. Consider how soldiers are trained. They don't wait for the battlefield to test their discipline. They prepare for months, even years, running drills until responses become instinct. When chaos comes, they don't rely on luck. They rely on training. The same holds true in life. Pressure appears in arguments, financial struggles, failures, loss. And if you've never trained your mind to remain steady, those storms will break you. But if you've trained, if you've woven calmness into your nature, Pressure becomes merely another test, a stage where your preparation manifests. Marcus Aurelius lived under constant strain as Rome's emperor. He confronted wars, plagues, betrayal, the relentless burden of ruling an empire. Yet his writings reveal not despair, but reminders about preparation. "You must build up your life action by action," he wrote, "and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." His strength didn't magically appear in hardest moments. It was built daily in smaller acts of discipline, thought, self-control. By the time storms arrived, he was already anchored. Pressure couldn't break him because he had already accepted its inevitability. Observe how some collapse under stress, while others thrive on it. The difference lies not in the stress itself, but in the underlying mindset. Those who collapse perceive pressure as unnatural, unfair. They ask, "Why me?" And in doing so, they weaken themselves. Those who thrive expect it. They know stress is not an interruption of life, but an ingredient of it. And because they accept this truth, they meet pressure with preparation rather than panic. When it arrives, they aren't shocked. They simply execute what they've been training themselves to do all along. This is why the Stoics emphasized anticipation. They would practice envisioning loss, hardship, even death, not to dwell in fear, but to prepare the mind. By mentally rehearsing storms, they trained themselves to remain calm when storms materialized in reality. Seneca once advised, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Preparation diminishes fear. It renders the overwhelming manageable because you've already confronted it in thought. And consider how this unfolds in your own life. A person who has never practiced patience collapses at the first sign of frustration. But someone who has trained themselves daily to pause, to restrain their temper, meets that same frustration with ease. A person who has never faced discomfort is shattered when life withholds ease. But someone who has chosen small discomforts, discipline in rising early, restraint in speech, effort in exercise, finds themselves ready when true difficulty appears. The preparation was already present. Pressure is simply the stage that reveals it. This also explains why some can endure losses that would seem unbearable to others. They have trained themselves not to cling too tightly to what can be taken. They know life is unpredictable. They expect change. And so when it comes, they adapt. View pressure as a mirror. It reflects back what you've been practicing all along. If you've practiced avoidance, it will show. If you've practiced self-command, it will shine through. The moment of stress is not when you begin constructing strength. It is when you reveal it. The hours before, the days before, the years before. Those are the times you were either preparing yourself or leaving yourself vulnerable. That is why some flourish when tested. They've been rehearsing long before the curtain ever rose. Carl Jung also believed the unconscious, if left unexamined, will command you under pressure. This is why so many utter things in anger or fear they later regret. They haven't faced themselves deeply enough to understand their own shadows. Under stress, the unexamined parts rise and seize control. But when you undertake the work of preparation, reflecting, questioning, strengthening your inner life, you cease being a victim of the unconscious. You remain present even in chaos. The storm doesn't pull you under because you've already practiced swimming in turbulent waters. Think of an athlete's training. They don't only practice when the stadium is full. They prepare in empty gyms on quiet mornings through repetition no one witnesses. When the spotlight hits, they don't panic because what feels overwhelming to others feels familiar to them. They have already lived the pressure in training. The same is true for the mind. If you practice calmness in small irritations, you will not unravel under larger ones. If you train yourself to accept loss in small ways, greater losses will not destroy you. The strength you build quietly becomes your shield when the storm arrives publicly. And here's the hidden truth. Pressure doesn't weaken you. It introduces you to yourself. It shows whether your roots are deep or shallow, whether your discipline is genuine or imagined. That is why some thank their hardships in hindsight. They realize without those moments they would never have discovered their true capacity. Epictetus reminded his students, difficulties are the things which show what men are. Without them, no one would ever know their own potential. And isn't that what we ultimately wish to know, ourselves? To see what lies beneath the surface when everything else is stripped away. So the next time you feel pressure's weight building, remind yourself, this is not the enemy. This is the test. This is the arena where your preparation, or lack of it, will be revealed. Instead of resisting, lean into it. Remember, storms are not exceptions in life. They are part of the design. If you expect them, they won't shock you. If you prepare for them, they won't break you. And if you welcome them as teachers, they will sculpt you into someone unshakable. Pressure is not to be feared. It is to be trained for, embraced, utilized. Because ultimately, those who thrive aren't those who wait for calm seas, but those who learn to sail no matter how fierce the winds become. Preparation is the difference. And when you are prepared, storms are no longer disasters. They are opportunities to prove the strength you've been constructing all along. Ask yourself, how many battles have you fought in your mind that never truly mattered in reality? How many hours have you lost replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, agonizing over outcomes that never materialized? We all do this. Our minds are experts at conjuring storms that don't exist, and yet those storms feel so real in the moment. They consume our energy, shape our moods, sometimes even alter the choices we make. Most of these worries fade with time, but in the moment we grant them power as if they are eternal truths. It's almost as if we are living two lives simultaneously, the life before us and the one inside our head. And often the second feels heavier than the first. Worry thrives on repetition. It loops the same thought, convincing you that by dwelling on it, you are somehow preparing. But this is an illusion. The truth is, worry rarely prevents pain. It only creates it twice. You suffer first in imagination, then again if the event actually occurs. Most of the time, the imagined suffering is worse than reality could ever be. Yet we pour energy into it as if it were life's most critical battle. The wise choose differently. They recognize energy is a finite resource. Every thought, every worry, every internal conflict you entertain drains you. And because of that, you cannot afford to fight every battle. You cannot afford to expend yourself on what doesn't propel you forward. Marcus Aurelius advised himself to ask whether the thing disturbing him would matter in 10 years or even 10 days. That question possesses the power to shrink most worries instantly. Viewed through time's lens, most battles lose their magnitude, revealing themselves as what they truly are: fleeting irritations, not eternal truths. Reflect on the last time you were consumed by worry. Perhaps it was about someone's opinion of you, a work situation, a past mistake. In the moment, it felt immense. But looking back now, does it carry the same weight? Most likely not. The storm passes, the world moves on, and what once kept you awake fades into irrelevance. Yet in the moment, you treated it as life-defining. This is the cost of fighting mental battles. You pay with your peace for things utterly undeserving of it. There is discipline in choosing your battles, and it begins with awareness. Awareness of how often you're dragged into fights that don't exist. Awareness of how much energy you spend on ghosts. Once you notice, you can start to step back. You can remind yourself not every thought deserves entertainment. You can let some pass like clouds instead of turning each into a storm. The more you practice this, the lighter your mind becomes. Instead of constantly warring with yourself, you discover peace, not because the world is easier, but because you are wiser with your attention. Aristotle observed, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life." That energy is either wasted on meaningless battles or invested in meaningful ones. Every time you permit your mind to spiral into endless worry, you drain energy that could be used to create, to solve, to grow. It's like carrying water in a leaking bucket. You pour out effort, but by the time you need it, nothing remains. Those who learn to seal those leaks, who stop wasting energy on shadows, suddenly find themselves with a reservoir of strength for what truly counts. And when you begin living this way, you notice something else. The world grows quieter, not because external problems vanish, but because internal noise diminishes. You stop overanalyzing every word spoken to you. You stop obsessing over every uncertain outcome. You stop rehearsing conversations that will never happen. Instead, you reserve your focus for what is directly before you, and in that simplicity, you find clarity. The mind that once felt like a battlefield begins to feel like a sanctuary. This doesn't mean you ignore problems. The wise are not careless. It means you recognize the distinction between problems requiring action and problems existing only in thought. One is real, the other is imagined. One needs solving, the other needs release. This discernment separates those who remain steady from those perpetually anxious. The anxious person fights endlessly, losing battles that never existed. The steady person chooses carefully, conserving strength for what matters most. Plato once said, "The part can never be well unless the whole is well." If your mind is at war with itself, no single part of your life can be truly at peace. That's why choosing battles isn't just about efficiency. It's about health, balance, harmony. When you stop fighting unnecessary internal wars, the rest of your life begins to align. Relationships grow calmer, work becomes clearer, your presence becomes steadier. Peace of mind ripples outward, shaping everything you touch. So the next time your mind begins to spiral, pause. Ask yourself, does this battle matter? Will it still matter tomorrow, next month, next year? If the answer is no, then release it. Conserve your energy for what deserves it. Save your strength for challenges that shape you, because ultimately, the mind will always present battles, but only you can decide which are worth fighting. And that choice, to invest only where it matters, separates a life consumed by worry from a life lived with wisdom. And what about approval? Isn't it exhausting chasing validation from people who will likely forget your name tomorrow? How many choices are made not because they align with our values, but because we believe they'll earn praise? We alter how we speak, act, even dream to fit molds others hand us. But the tragedy is applause is fleeting. One moment it lifts you, the next it vanishes, leaving you empty, desperate for the next dose of validation. The instant you stop craving that applause, the moment you release the hunger for approval, you taste freedom. Approval is a leash, and every time you pull against it, you only tighten its hold. But detachment, that is liberation. Marcus Aurelius, burdened by an empire's weight, reminded himself daily, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw clearly this trap's absurdity. We know ourselves better than anyone, and yet we permit strangers, critics, casual acquaintances to wield more influence over our sense of worth than our own inner judgment. Isn't that madness? To abandon the one voice that truly knows us for the clamor of voices that barely see us. Yet most live enslaved by approval, and notice what happens when you cease. The same people whose approval you once sought may be confused, even disappointed because you no longer bend to their expectations. But over time, something shifts. People begin to respect you more when they realize you don't need their approval. You become untouchable in a way those begging for validation never can. This is why approval is so perilous. It masquerades as connection. We think by earning approval we're building bonds, but in truth, we're constructing cages. We're training ourselves to move only when others pull strings. Every word becomes calculated, every step designed for effect until we are no longer living, only performing. And in the process, we forget who we are. Detachment breaks this cycle. It returns the pen of your story to you. Instead of being written by others, your life begins to reflect your own truth. But detachment demands courage. It means risking disapproval. It means standing firm in decisions when people criticize. It means holding to your vision even when the crowd mocks. This is why so few choose it. It feels uncomfortable to step off the stage where everyone watches, yet that discomfort is the doorway to freedom. Socrates endured ridicule and trial for refusing to conform to Athens' expectations. He could have lived longer by yielding, but he chose integrity. And integrity is what detachment protects. And here's the paradox. When you stop seeking approval, you often gain more of it. Not the shallow, fleeting applause, but the deeper respect born from authenticity. People trust those not desperate to be liked because they sense something rare, a person grounded in themselves. Plato said, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." And what is greater contentment than living with yourself, needing no constant confirmation from others? That wealth cannot be purchased or taken. Examine those who achieved greatness in any field, philosophy, art, science, leadership. Almost without exception, they were misunderstood in their time. They were mocked, doubted, criticized. But because they were detached from needing approval, they pressed forward. They weren't chasing applause. They were chasing truth. And only later did the world catch up. Imagine if they had abandoned their paths merely to be accepted. Imagine if their need for validation had outweighed commitment to their vision. We'd be left with mediocrity, not masterpieces. Approval is intoxicating, but also addictive. The more you receive, the more you crave, and the less you can live without it. That cycle is endless unless you break it, and breaking it requires realizing approval is never truly about you. It's about the other person's expectations. To live for approval is to hand your life over to standards you didn't create. To live detached from it is to finally begin shaping yourself on your own terms. Don't mistake detachment for arrogance. True detachment is humble. It doesn't declare, "I don't care about anyone." It says, "I care, but I don't need to be defined by anyone's opinion." It's the difference between valuing connection and being enslaved by it. Approval chasers often become arrogant because their self-worth fluctuates with others' praise. They inflate when praised, collapse when criticized. Detached individuals, however, remain steady. They can hear both criticism and applause without losing center. That steadiness makes them trustworthy, admirable, strong. So the question is simple, yet difficult. Are you willing to release the leash? Are you willing to walk away from the endless chase for applause and step into the freedom of living on your own terms? The moment you do, everything transforms. Your decisions clarify, your voice steadies, your presence strengthens. You stop bending for every opinion and start standing tall in your own truth. And that freedom is worth more than all the applause in the world. Because when you no longer need approval, you no longer live for others. You live for yourself in alignment with your values, your vision, your deepest self. Approval is a leash, and it will hold you as long as you allow it. But detachment is freedom, and it awaits you the moment you decide you're ready to walk unchained. Criticism is another test, one of the most subtle and dangerous trials we face daily. Initially, it always feels personal, as if someone has aimed a dagger at your sense of worth. Words can cut deeper than steel because they strike at identity, at pride, at the fragile parts we prefer kept hidden. Yet, if you step back, you'll see most criticism isn't about you at all. It's a mirror reflecting the critic's insecurities, disappointments, unresolved conflicts. They project these onto you because it feels easier than confronting themselves. And if you accept that projection as truth, you end up carrying borrowed pain. Why let the wounds of others become your own? That burden was never meant for you. The wisest path is to recognize it, extract what is useful, and leave the remainder behind. This ability to filter criticism is rare because we're conditioned to treat every comment as valid. From childhood, we're trained to respond to feedback immediately, to explain, defend, justify. But living this way turns every voice into a master over your emotions. Marcus Aurelius faced endless criticism as emperor, yet he reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. He saw clearly criticism gains its sting from our interpretation, not the words themselves. One person hears an insult and dismisses it. Another hears identical words and carries the weight for years. The difference lies in the estimate, the value you assign, and that value is always within your control. Consider how often people project their limitations onto others. Someone criticizes your ambition because they abandoned their own. Someone mocks your courage because they never found theirs. Someone doubts your vision because they cannot see beyond their narrow frame. If you let their words shape you, you're letting their limitations become your boundaries. Of course, not all criticism is worthless. Some is valuable, even essential. The challenge is discernment. Constructive criticism comes from those wishing to see you grow, who possess knowledge and perspective worth considering. Destructive criticism, however, is merely noise born from envy, bitterness, or ignorance. The wise learn to filter. They don't discard everything, nor swallow everything whole. They separate grain from chaff, useful from useless, and in doing so, they transform even negative voices into tools for progress. Seneca observed, "No man was ever wise by chance." Wisdom is deliberate. It requires practice, and filtering criticism is part of that practice. You must train your mind not to be shaken by every passing word, but to listen with clarity. If the words offer truth, embrace them. If they are empty, discard them without a second thought. To be unmoved by shallow judgments isn't arrogance, it's maturity. It means you've built your worth on a foundation deeper than the noise of opinion. Picture an artist chiseling a statue. Passers-by comment. Some admire, some mock, some offer unsolicited advice. The artist doesn't abandon his vision every time a voice interrupts. He listens when someone speaks with knowledge, but ignores the rest. His work is guided not by the crowd's noise, but by the clarity of his own purpose. Life operates similarly. You are the sculptor. If you adjust your shape every time someone comments, you end with fragments. But if you stay true to your form while remaining open to wisdom, you create something lasting. Plato once said, "Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance." Most criticism resides in that in-between space. It's neither pure wisdom nor pure nonsense. It's a reflection of where the critic stands in their own growth. This is why filtering is crucial. Treating every opinion as law is as perilous as dismissing every opinion as worthless. The art lies in discernment, and discernment allows you to keep advancing without paralysis by words. But how do you prevent criticism from cutting too deeply? By remembering you are not obligated to accept every gift handed to you. An insult is like a parcel left at your door. You don't have to bring it inside. You can leave it where it lies. The critic may have created it, but you decide whether to claim it. Detachment is the strength to see words as external objects rather than reflections of your identity. And when you practice this, you notice how much lighter life feels. You carry only what is useful, leaving the rest behind. When you begin living this way, you find yourself less shaken by words. You hear them, consider them, but you do not carry them. They pass through you like wind. And because of this, you gain a quiet strength others notice. You become someone who cannot be easily manipulated by opinion, someone whose worth is rooted deeper than surface level. And this calmness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who remain steady in the storm of voices. So the next time criticism arrives, and it will, remember it is just another test, not of your worth, but of your wisdom. Keep what helps you grow, discard the rest, move on, because life is too short to carry pain others attempt to hand you, and the freedom of living unbothered is found not in silencing critics, but in silencing the part of yourself that believes every word deserves your energy. Do you see the pattern? When you act unaffected, you don't merely shield yourself from harm, you completely invert the power dynamic. The moment someone realizes their words or actions cannot penetrate you, the balance shifts. Instead of you struggling to defend, they begin struggling to comprehend you. People admire what they cannot shake because it suggests a depth of strength they don't yet possess. And they respect what they can't easily decipher because mystery has always carried its own power. To stand firm, unbothered, is to become an enigma, and mystery itself becomes strength. Reflect on historical instances where true influence sprang not from loud displays, but from quiet, steady composure. Leaders who didn't need to explain themselves at every turn often carried the most authority. Their silence wasn't emptiness, it was presence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Be like the rock against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This image is potent. The rock doesn't shout at the waves, doesn't try to stop them. It simply remains unmoved. And because of this, it transforms surrounding chaos into calm. That is the strength people sense when you act unaffected. A groundedness that speaks louder than reaction ever could. Carl Jung spoke of the psyche similarly, emphasizing people are unsettled when they encounter something they can't categorize. He wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. If you react wildly, you are easily transformed by others. But if you remain calm, they are transformed by you. Your refusal to bend makes them question their own position. Your mystery unsettles them because it exposes their own predictability. They expected conflict, they expected control, but they find a calmness they cannot touch. This is why mystery is magnetic. People lean in when they don't fully understand you. They speculate, wonder, try to figure you out. The less you give away in reaction, the more they project their interpretations onto you. And often, those projections are more powerful than anything you could have said. Silence, restraint, composure invite curiosity, and curiosity is one of the strongest forces of attraction. People are drawn to what they cannot easily define. Seneca offered simple wisdom. If you wish to be loved, love. But if you wish to be respected, the principle is different. You must not be easily moved. Respect is born not from bending, but from standing firm. People trust those who remain steady under pressure because steadiness suggests mastery. When others lose control, they look to the one who hasn't. And when that one is you, your mystery turns into authority. They may not always like you, but they will respect you. Consider how this unfolds in personal relationships. When you are overly reactive, when every word or gesture pulls an immediate response, people stop valuing your presence. You become predictable, and predictability is easy to manipulate. But when you remain calm, when you respond with intention rather than impulse, people treat you differently. They hesitate before provoking you. They measure their words more carefully. They sense you are not like others, that you cannot be controlled similarly. This subtle shift grants you quiet leverage, an influence born not from force, but from restraint. But mystery isn't only external, it changes you internally as well. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin to conserve energy. You no longer waste yourself on trivial conflicts, arguments leading nowhere, proving points that don't matter. That energy builds within you, and people feel it. You carry a quiet intensity, the kind that doesn't need display to be recognized. Jung warned that energy wasted on constant reaction only feeds the shadow, leaving you weaker, more fragmented. But when you choose calmness, you direct that energy inward toward integration, toward strength. Reflect on nature's lessons. A storm may rage loudly, but it always passes. The mountain, silent and steady, remains. The oak sways in wind but doesn't uproot. The river cuts through stone not by force but by persistence. These are images of true strength, unbothered, patient, enduring. People admire them because they represent what we all secretly desire: stability in a world of chaos. And when you embody even a fraction of that in your life, you carry the same quiet power. And here lies the paradox of respect. People may laugh at the loudest person in the room, but they almost always admire the one who speaks least, and yet is most felt. Mystery unsettles because it cannot be controlled. It creates questions instead of answers. And in a world obsessed with instant clarity and constant noise, that quiet uncertainty becomes irresistible. Epictetus once taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Initially, mystery often feels like that. People will misunderstand you, misjudge you, fill silence with their assumptions. But in time, they begin to see the strength behind your restraint. They realize you were never foolish. You were simply beyond their grasp. And by then, the respect you carry is deeper than any argument could have earned. So when you act unaffected, you're not only protecting yourself from needless suffering, you're reshaping the power dynamic around you. People admire what they cannot move. They respect what they cannot predict. And in your calmness, in your silence, in your refusal to react, you create a mystery that becomes your greatest strength. Not because you've hidden who you are, but because you've revealed your center is unshakable. And in a world where most are constantly pulled in every direction, that steadiness will always stand out as rare, as valuable, as undeniably powerful. And silence. Silence is a weapon, though most don't realize it. They rush to explain, defend, justify, prove they're right. It feels uncomfortable to let words hang in the air unanswered. But the one who can stay silent commands attention without ever asking. Silence makes people lean in. It forces them to think. It unsettles them in a way words never could. Words reveal. Silence conceals. And concealment has always been a form of power, which then holds more weight. The person who spills everything or the one who leaves you wondering. Consider how uncomfortable silence makes people in conversation. A pause of a few seconds can feel eternal. Many rush to fill it, speaking too much, revealing intentions, exposing unintended weaknesses. But the one who can sit calmly in silence controls the moment. They don't need to rush. They don't need to fill air with explanations. Their stillness itself is a statement. I am not unsettled. I am not afraid of space. I am not desperate to be understood. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, if you are silent, be silent out of love. If you speak, speak with love. His point wasn't solely about kindness, but intentionality. Don't waste words. Don't speak because you're uncomfortable. Speak only when words serve a purpose. Remain silent when they don't. That discipline creates authority. People come to know when you speak, it matters. That anticipation gives your voice more weight than endless talkers. Silence, then, isn't weakness, it's restraint. And restraint is strength. The irony is silence often communicates more than words ever could. When someone insults you, silence conveys their attempt didn't merit a response. When someone pressures for an answer, silence shows you are not hurried. When someone tries to provoke, silence reveals you are untouchable. In each case, the absence of reaction speaks volumes, and silence doesn't only disarm others, it sharpens you. When you speak less, you listen more. You hear the tone beneath words, the hesitation in voice, the contradiction between what someone says and what their body communicates. Most miss these details because they're busy preparing their own response. But silence makes you observant. It lets you gather information without surrendering your position. This is why in negotiations, arguments, everyday interactions, silence is often the most strategic move. You reveal nothing while learning everything. Seneca captured this. It is quality rather than quantity that matters. He meant it about life, but the principle applies equally to words. A few words spoken at the right moment carry more force than endless chatter. Silence ensures when you do speak, your words aren't diluted. They strike harder because they are rare, like a sword unsheathed only when necessary. Your voice becomes a weapon sharpened by restraint. Think of the leaders, mentors, figures you've respected most. Were they those who filled air with constant words? Or were they those who spoke less, but whose words carried weight? The quiet ones often leave the deepest impression because their silence creates space. Space for thought, meaning, mystery. Yet silence isn't passive. It isn't indifference. It is deliberate, intentional, chosen, a weapon not to harm, but to protect your peace and preserve your power. Silence doesn't mean you accept everything. It means you don't waste yourself on what doesn't deserve you. This silence can feel radical in a world obsessed with noise. We live in an age of endless opinions, constant explanations, voices demanding to be heard. But those who master silence rise above the clamor. They don't need to prove themselves in every debate or justify themselves to every critic. Their calmness becomes magnetic. Their silence commands more attention than another's shouting ever could. People wonder what you're thinking. They speculate. They guess. They lean closer. And in that curiosity lies influence. And here's the beauty of silence. It grants you control over timing. Words once spoken cannot be retrieved. But silence gives you space to choose the right words. In conflict, silence cools heat and clears fog. In decision, silence allows reflection instead of impulse. In pressure, silence makes you appear unshaken, even if inside you're still finding footing. Over time, people stop seeing silence as emptiness and start seeing it as strength. So, which holds more power? Words or silence? Both matter, but silence is rarer, and rarity amplifies value. Anyone can talk, few can remain silent. Anyone can react, few can withhold. And in that withholding lies authority. When you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you hold a strength no noise can rival. Ultimately, silence isn't the absence of communication. It is a different form of it, one that conceals when needed, unsettles when necessary, commands without asking. Most will always rush to explain, defend, justify. But if you can resist that urge, if you can embrace silence as a weapon, you'll find people respect you not because of what you say, but because of what you don't. And that mystery, that restraint, that unshakable calmness will always hold more power than words alone. Even your thoughts can betray you if you don't master them. You may believe the real enemies are outside. Difficult people, unpredictable events, unfair circumstances. But the deepest battles are fought within your own mind. Fear, doubt, hesitation. These are the shadows that creep in quietly and start directing your actions without you even realizing. How many times has fear halted you before you began? How many times has doubt whispered you're not ready, convincing you to step back when you should have stepped forward? These enemies don't need to exist outside because they thrive within, sabotaging from the inside out. If left unchecked, they build a prison stronger than any walls the world could erect. The truth is, the mind is not naturally your ally. Left untrained, it wanders, clings, resists, reacts. It can be your greatest tool or your greatest obstacle. That is why it must be trained daily. Just as the body strengthens through exercise, a mind left idle grows weak. But a mind challenged and disciplined becomes unshakable. Training the mind begins with awareness. Gratitude, discipline, detachment aren't lofty ideals. They are exercises in focus. Gratitude shifts attention from what's missing to what's already present. When you train yourself to see what you have, you stop feeding fear with scarcity. Discipline sharpens your ability to act despite discomfort, to remain steady when laziness or doubt tries to pull you down. Detachment allows you to see thoughts and emotions for what they are, visitors, not rulers. Together, these practices form the foundation of mental strength. Without them, the mind becomes soft, easily controlled by impulses, moods, external noise. The mind grows the way a muscle grows, through resistance. Without resistance, the body remains soft, fragile, easily broken. Without challenges, the mind remains the same, repeating old patterns, never gaining strength. That is why setbacks, difficulties, failures aren't just obstacles. They are essential tools for growth. Each moment of resistance is an opportunity to build resilience. Epictetus told his students, "Difficulties are things that show what men are." When you meet resistance and endure it, you prove to yourself your mind can withstand pressure. And every time you withstand pressure, you grow stronger. This is why people who avoid challenges often feel weaker. Even when life is easy, they are untested. Their minds, like unused muscles, haven't developed the capacity to endure. But those who embrace resistance, the daily practice of discipline, the willingness to face discomfort, are the ones who build unshakable strength. Consider the person who wakes early despite wanting to sleep in, who chooses patience when anger rises, who remains calm when provoked. Each is a small act of resistance, a small weight lifted by the mind. Over time, these small acts accumulate into extraordinary strength. But mastery isn't achieved once and for all. The mind must be trained daily. Just as a single workout won't make you strong, a single moment of discipline won't build lasting resilience. This is a lifelong practice. That is why rituals matter. Morning reflections, moments of silence, gratitude lists, mindful breathing, acts of restraint. Each is a rep, a set, a repetition for the mind. These aren't small or trivial. They are building blocks of an unshakable inner world. Without them, you risk becoming enslaved to whatever thought or emotion happens to arrive. Jung also warned that unexamined thoughts can dominate you silently. He suggested when we deny our weaknesses, they gain power in the unconscious. This is why fear feels overwhelming when ignored, but smaller once faced. Mastery requires honesty. You must be willing to admit where your thoughts betray you, where fear still paralyzes, where doubt still grips. Only then can you begin training those parts. The shadow must be acknowledged before it can be integrated. Plato believed self-mastery was the highest form of power. He saw the ability to govern the self as greater than governing others. And this is exactly what training the mind provides: sovereignty. When you master your thoughts, you are no longer tossed by every emotional tide. You no longer collapse under hesitation. You move with direction, clarity, purpose. Others may try to provoke you, but your mind is steady. Events may test you, but your center remains intact. This sovereignty cannot be given. It is earned through daily training. Imagine two people facing the same crisis. One reacts in panic, overwhelmed by fear and doubt. The other remains calm, thoughtful, deliberate. The event is identical, but outcomes are worlds apart. The second person doesn't have a calmer mind by accident. They've been training for it. They've been building resilience long before the crisis arrived. And when it came, their preparation revealed itself. Pressure exposes the training you've done, and the mind, properly trained, becomes your greatest shield. So remember this: your thoughts are not always loyal companions. Left untrained, they will betray you, whispering fear, doubt, hesitation. But trained with gratitude, discipline, detachment, they become allies. They become sources of strength, clarity, freedom. The mind is like a muscle, and every challenge, every act of restraint, every moment of gratitude is a repetition that makes it stronger. Over time, that strength becomes unshakable. And when your mind is unshakable, nothing outside, no insult, setback, storm, can ever truly break you. So let the world test you. Let insults come. Let pressure build. Let setbacks appear, because they are not punishments. They are opportunities. Every trial is practice. Every moment of discomfort is training. And each time you choose calm over chaos, each time you pause instead of exploding, each time you remain steady while others lose control, you are reinforcing an armor no one can penetrate. Life doesn't forge strength in ease. It carves it in difficulty, in resistance, in the very moments you wish weren't happening. To avoid the test is to avoid growth. To welcome it is to become unshakable. Carl Jung approached this from another angle, reminding us trials reveal hidden aspects of ourselves. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The world's tests draw out unconscious parts, exposing weaknesses you didn't know existed. An insult might reveal sensitivity to pride. A setback might reveal dependence on control. Pressure might reveal how much fear still dictates choices. These revelations sting, but they are invaluable. They give you a chance to confront yourself honestly and build strength you lack. Without the test, those parts would remain hidden, silently running your life. With the test, you are given the chance to take command. Think of a soldier training for battle. He doesn't complain about the weight he carries or harsh conditions. He knows each repetition, each hardship is preparation for the real fight. Life operates similarly. Insults, disappointments, betrayals, they are your training ground. And though you may wish they weren't there, one day you'll look back and realize they were essential. Without them, you would have remained fragile. With them, you are fortified. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold. Suffering tests brave men." You cannot claim strength without trials to prove it. Just as metal is refined in fire, your mind and spirit are refined in adversity. The insult you endure without reacting, the pressure you bear without breaking, the failure you rise from without despair. These moments temper you. They turn raw potential into real power. You cannot read about calmness and become calm. You cannot imagine strength and suddenly become strong. You must live the trials. You must face them, endure them. Let them shape you. And isn't it true, the people we admire most aren't those with easy lives, but those who stood firm in difficulty? We don't remember those who avoided tests. We remember those who endured them with dignity. The leader who remained composed while everyone panicked. The friend who stood steady in your darkest hour. The thinker who produced wisdom from their own pain. Their strength wasn't given. It was built the same way yours will be. Through practice, trials, facing the world's tests again and again, until composure becomes second nature. This armor isn't made of arrogance or detachment from life. It is made of mastery. It's not about refusing to feel, but about refusing to be ruled by what you feel. The insult still stings, but you don't let it guide action. The pressure still weighs, but you don't let it dictate decisions. The setback still disappoints, but you don't let it trap you in despair. This is how armor is built, layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment, until one day people look at you and wonder why nothing seems to rattle you. They see only the strength. They don't realize it was forged in countless small battles they never witnessed. Plato, too, saw value in trials, writing about the soul being tested and shaped by struggle. He believed the highest strength was born not in comfort, but in facing hardship with clarity. And this is the gift the world gives you, even when it feels cruel. It will test you, it will insult you, it will press you down. But it is in those moments you are being shaped into someone greater. And once you recognize this, you stop resenting trials. You start using them. So let the world test you. Don't run from insults, pressure, failures. Let them come. And when they do, remember they are not there to destroy you, but to train you. Every trial is practice. Every moment of struggle is another chance to build resilience. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you add another layer to the armor no one can penetrate. And when that armor is strong enough, nothing outside, not people, events, not even fate, will have the power to break you. Because ultimately, it's not the world that determines whether you remain unshaken, it's you. The trials will come regardless, but whether you collapse under them or grow because of them, that choice is always yours. And when people look at you wondering why nothing seems to rattle you, that's when you'll know you've built something rare. You've mastered the art of being unbothered, not because life suddenly became easier, not because problems stopped arriving, but because you became stronger, because you finally understood the truth. Control doesn't come from bending the world to your will, but from owning your reactions to it. Once you own your reactions, you own your life. That is a freedom most never taste, and yet it is available to anyone who dares train for it. This strength is quiet, but it doesn't go unnoticed. People sense it. They see how you move through storms without losing footing. They notice insults bounce off you, pressure fails to break you, setbacks don't define you. They may not understand it initially, and often it unsettles them. Because while the majority are quick to anger, quick to defend, quick to fall apart, you are steady. You carry yourself differently, and that difference is magnetic. It pulls respect from others without you ever asking. It's important to understand being unbothered isn't the same as being indifferent. Indifference is apathy, the refusal to engage with life. Being unbothered is the choice to engage fully without being ruled by every twist of fate or every opinion of others. You still feel, you still care, you still act, but you do so from sovereignty. You respond on your own terms, not because someone pulled you into reaction. That difference is subtle but profound. One keeps you chained, the other keeps you free. And once you reach this place, something beautiful happens. Peace becomes your default. Where you once would have reacted, you now breathe. Where you once would have fought, you now pause. Where you once would have crumbled, you now stand tall. That peace radiates outward. It influences how you speak, move, relate. People begin to trust you more, to seek you out when chaos surrounds them, because they know you are not easily moved. You become a source of calm in a world addicted to noise. Aristotle observed, "The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation, rather than upon mere survival." When you master the art of being unbothered, you embody that awareness. You're no longer living in survival, reacting to every spark. You are living deliberately with clarity, intention. Your calmness isn't passive, it's active. It's the product of constant awareness, of choosing carefully where to direct energy, of refusing to waste it on things that don't serve you. And yet, it would be a mistake to think this journey ends. Mastery of your reactions isn't a final destination, but an ongoing practice. Each day, the world offers new tests. Each day, someone will try to provoke you. Life presents new obstacles, your mind conjures new doubts. But each day also brings another chance to practice, another chance to reinforce the armor you've built, another chance to choose calm over chaos. Over time, these choices compound until your default response is no response at all, just measured action rooted in clarity. And perhaps that is the final truth. To be unbothered is to be free. Free from insult's grip, free from criticism's weight, free from the endless need for validation. You are no longer owned by circumstances. You are no longer swayed by every passing emotion. You belong to yourself. And when people notice, when they ask why nothing rattles you, you will smile. Not because you feel superior, but because you know the secret. Life didn't become easier. You became stronger. You learned to own your reactions. And in owning your reactions, you discovered you own your life. So let the world wonder. Let them speculate about your calmness, your silence, your mystery. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to defend it. You only need to live it. Because the art of being unbothered isn't something you tell. It's something you show. And when you embody it fully, you carry a strength no one can take. The strength of self-mastery, the strength of freedom, the strength of a life that is truly, finally, your own. No storm, no insult, no judgment has the power to own you unless you hand it over. The strength you've been seeking has always been within, waiting for you to claim it. Master yourself, and you master life. If this message resonated with you, keep the journey alive. Watch one of the videos now appearing on your screen and let the lessons carry you further. Thank you for walking this path with me. And thank you for being part of Stoic Mindset Mastery. If you found value here, please like this video. It helps spread this wisdom to others ready for it. Take a deep breath. Keep growing. Remember, your peace is your power. Until next time.